The seconds are out. The crowd is waiting. The boxers are getting ready to battle. Time for another edition of the Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing Podcast with your presenter, Greg Rashid.
Oh, I'm sorry. I started singing the theme song. But anyway, I'm so happy to be back here because I missed last week. And Jessica, your martial artist champion, she sat in for me and I think she did a bang-up job. I heard the tape, and she really did a great job. She was kind of hesitant because she likes to do little segments and get out, but she had to do the whole show along with Knockout Nigel, and she kept him in check, and that was good. But I'm back now. I've been up in northern Thailand in Chiang Mai, but I'm back here in Bangkok, Thailand, which is in the center. If you're new to the program, yes, I'm in Bangkok and loving it here. But, we always think of all the folks that we miss in the States, especially the folks who listen in every Sunday afternoon at 3 p.m. Mountain Time on KUHSdenver.com, created by the one and only Henry Archuleta. I want to say hi to all my friends in the Colorado region, knowing that I keep saying I'm going to come back there. I'll be back. But right now I'm here in Thailand, enjoying it here, loving it, and we're going to have another edition here of the Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing Podcast. And if you're new to the program, what we do on here, we do fantasy fights, what-if fights. What if Muhammad Ali fought Mike Tyson? We do things like that. And I know if you're listening to the program, you're a boxing enthusiast, and so you have those thoughts like, I wonder what would happen. Well, we do that on this program using various card and dice games, computer games, and just mixing things up. Today we'll be using Legends of Boxing 2 PC game created by Gary Brown, who we had on here a couple of months ago. And I encourage all those out there who have boxing games, be they card and dice, computer, even if they're, if you're doing one that's basically an arcade game, something like that, let us know. And we have authors on here too, so if you have a book about boxing you want to talk about, feel free to come on, and we'll have you on here. And we also have boxers on here from time to time. And also we talk about combat sports in general, besides boxing. That means mixed martial arts, MMA, you just name it. We do it on here. And sometimes we'll surprise you with a guest that is not actually in the field of sports, but we just want to have that person on because they're a good person to interview. But anyway, today our fight is going to be fantasy fight from, I think it's going to be in Britain. Oh, no, it's going to be in Britain. That means that Knockout Nigel's going to go nuts, and it's going to be, it's going to be Ricky the Hitman Hatton versus Arturo Gatti from Wembley Stadium. But before I get to the fight, I just want to send my condolences out to the family of Ricky the Hitman Hatton, and that's why we're doing this particular fight, because in memory of him. Great fighter. Just a great, and I've heard was a great person. He had issues that he dealt with, and he tried his best, but just a class guy all around, and just happy to honor him by doing this fantasy fight today. And also, before we do the fantasy fight, I got to say this. If you've been listening to the program, and I said it on here, and if you know boxing, it was easy to figure out. But Terrence Crawford last week dominated Canelo Alvarez. I mean, he just took him apart. And it was easy. I mean, it was the same playbook used by Dimitri Bivol, the same playbook used by Floyd Mayweather Jr., the same thing. Canelo cannot deal with the speed, someone that can hit too, and Bud Crawford can hit. I mean, he's something. And he, with the whole fight, and just fought. He fought southpaw. He didn't switch up like he usually does. He went southpaw. And Canelo admitted after the fight that style gave him a hard time. So I salute, Terrence. I saw him in person. Got a chance. The last fight I saw in America in Lincoln, Nebraska, was a Bud Crawford fight when he won the title against Ngannou. This was in 2017, and I mean, you could see it then. I mean, this guy was special. You know, he's in the midst of his career when I first saw him, and you could just see it, the style and everything. He just had it. Just an amazing fighter, and one I think that he's one of the best ever. But you know, that's for you to judge, and we're going to have a discussion about that midway in this program and see what you think about that. But anyway, this was wasn't the greatest fight, but I think it was great because just to watch a technician in action, just watching how Terrence Crawford goes about his business, how he just chopped down Canelo, the man who they said he was too big, that he was going to destroy Terrence Crawford. Didn't happen. Not at all. But that, if you haven't seen that fight, really check it out. Check that fight out. But we're going to get to our fight here. Ricky Hatton versus Arturo Gatti in the junior welterweight division. And I also have to say, before we get to the fight, we also, besides talking about fantasy fights, and we just did real, what goes on in the real world of boxing, and also the real world of other combat sports. We also have music near the end, because that's why I call it a boxing variety show. But right now, just sit back, get your favorite beverage. Knockout Nigel is here, and we're going to go to Wembley for our fight between Arturo Gatti and Ricky Hatton. Take it away.
Cheers, this is Knockout Nigel, your humble commentator. Blimey, what a night we've got brewing here at the grand old Wembley Stadium in the heart of London, England, home of the roaring lions and where dreams are forged in sweat and fury. The air's thick with anticipation, 90,000 souls packed in like sardines, waving Union Jacks and chanting for their hero. We're set for a 12-round junior welterweight barn burner between the thunder-punching brawler Arturo Gatti and our very own pride of Manchester, the Hitman himself, Ricky Hatton. Before the bell tolls, let's tip our caps to these two warriors and their path to this cauldron of combat. Arturo Gatti, the Italian-Canadian firecracker from Montreal, born in 1972, turned pro in '90 and carved out a rep as one of the gutsiest sluggers you'll ever see. With a record hovering around 40 wins, 10 losses, and a handful of draws, Gatti snagged world titles at super feather, lightweight, and junior welter. Most memorably, that epic trilogy with Micky Ward, where heart trumped all in those bloody wars at the Mohegan Sun. He's got fists like sledgehammers, a chin that defies physics, and a willingness to trade bombs till the cows come home. But let's be honest, folks. Gatti's style is all chaos and come-forward aggression. Effective, sure, but leaves him open to a proper technician who can pick him apart. He's been stopped more times than I'd like to count, and tonight, against a class act like Hatton, I reckon that recklessness might just catch up to him. But then there's Ricky Hatton. Our Ricky, the blue-collar king from the streets of Hattersley, born in '78, who turned pro in '97 and became a national treasure faster than you can say, sweet left hook. Ricky's ledger? A glittering 45 wins, 2 losses, 31 stoppages, light welterweight and welterweight crowns snatched from the likes of Kostya Tszyu in that Belfast masterclass of 2005, where he forced the great man to quit on his stool. Defenses against tough nuts like Luis Collazo and Juan Lascano showed his mettle, blending that ferocious body attack with pinpoint combinations and an engine that never quits. And there's the bell for round 1. Hatton explodes from his corner, stalking Gatti with that trademark pressure, jabbing low to the body right away. Thud, thud, measuring the Canadian as Gatti circles right, pawing with his lead. Gatti fires back a looping right that whiffs over Ricky's duck, and Hatton counters with a sharp left hook to the ribs that echoes through the stadium. Ooh, that had some steam. The crowd's on its feet already, sensing the spirit. Gatti presses now, throwing a three-punch flurry, jab, cross, hook, but Hatton's head movement is slick, slipping the lot and ripping a straight right to Gatti's midsection that folds him a touch. They're toe-to-toe in the center, Gatti winging hooks that graze Hatton's guard, Ricky answering with uppercuts inside that snap back the Italian's head. Crack, crack. Gatti clinches to reset, but Hatton shoves him off and unleashes a four-punch combo. Jab, jab, cross hook, the hook clipping Gatti's chin as he backs to the ropes. Gatti fires out of trouble with a wild overhand right that Hatton blocks high. Then Ricky circles left, feinting low before cracking a body shot that draws a gasp from the front row. The action's furious, no let-up. Gatti lunges with a straight left that misses. Hatton pivots and lands a chopping right to the temple. They trade in the pocket now, leather flying both ways, Gatti's aggression met by Hatton's precision. A glancing uppercut from the Hitman stings, and Gatti shakes his head, firing back a hook to the body. Ricky absorbs it, grins through his gum shield, and answers with two to the liver that make Gatti wince. The bell clangs, and Wembley erupts. What a starter, Ricky edging it with that volume. Round 2, and Gatti comes out swinging for the fences, a big right hand crashing off Hatton's gloves early. Boom, but Ricky rolls under and counters to the body with venom. Thud, 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 each one landing like a Manchester tram. Gatti's circling now, trying to keep distance, but Hatton's on him like glue, jabbing to the head and dipping low for hooks to the flanks. Crack, and oh, wait, Gatti's cut. A deep gash opening near his leg. They're at it, hammer and tongs in the final seconds. Gatti winging a desperate uppercut that whiffs. Hatton countering with a hook to the ribs. Thud, and the bell saves the Canadian as blood smears the ropes. Ricky's dictating, folks. That cut could spell trouble for Gatti. The bell for 3. And Gatti's corner dabs at that nasty slice, but he's snarling, coming forward with renewed fire. A sharp jab catches Hatton clean, rocking his head back, and Gatti follows with a hook to the body that thumps home. Wembley holds its breath, but Ricky resets, circling left with his guard high, then explodes inside. Double jab to the face, slipping Gatti's counter, and a vicious left hook to the liver. Oof! Gatti grimaces, the action's non-stop, Gatti pressing with straight rights that graze, Hatton making him pay with counters. Crack! A right cross that reddens Gatti's cheek. They clinch along the ropes, Gatti shoving hard, but referee Gray pries him apart, and Hatton unleashes a flurry. Jab, hook, cross, the cross landing flush as Gatti stumbles back a step. Gatti rallies, throwing hooks both ways that buzz Hatton's ears, but Ricky's footwork shines, pivoting and landing an uppercut inside that lifts Gatti's chin. Whap! The Italian's blood is flowing freer now, that left eye swelling, but he's game, firing a combination that forces Hatton to the canvas. No, just a slip, up quick. Hatton smiles, touches gloves, and rips 2 to the body. Thud, thud. Before the bell. Spirited stuff, Ricky's class shining through. Round 4 underway, and Gatti's wilder than a bull in a china shop, lunging with hooks that miss wildly. Whoosh! But one low shot strays below the belt, drawing a warning from Gray. Hatton winces but waves it off, circling patiently. Gatti presses again, another low hook. Thud! And Ricky grimaces, shaking his head as the ref steps in for a second warning. The crowd boos the rough stuff, but Gatti's undaunted, firing high now with a cross that clips Hatton's shoulder. Ricky explodes back, a 4-punch salvo, jab, jab, hook right, that peppers Gatti's guard. 5's a beauty. Gatti circles warily, that eye a mess, jabbing to keep Hatton at bay. But Ricky feints and slips inside, ripping hooks to the body. Whap, whap, each one landing with spite. Gatti counters with an overhand right that buzzes Hatton's temple. Close, and they clinch, sweat pouring as Gray separates. Hatton breaks free first, landing a sharp cross that snaps Gatti's head, then follows with uppercuts in close. Crack! The crowd chanting, "Hat! Turn! Hat! Turn!" like a football terrace. Gatti's tough, firing back a hook to the jaw that rocks Ricky momentarily, but the Hitman grins, circles, and unleashes a combination. Left, right, left to the head, the last hook grazing as Gatti ducks. They're at center ring now, toe-to-toe fury. Gatti's straight left lands clean. Hatton answers with two body shots that make the Italian gasp. The pace is blistering, no quarter given, leather thudding relentlessly as the seconds tick down. Hatton lands a parting jab, pop, and the bell clangs. Wembley alive, Ricky's heart and skill edging it again. Round 6, Gatti's corner yelling tactics, but he's coming forward, throwing a three-punch burst, jab-cross hook that forces Hatton to the ropes, the hook thudding home to the body. Ricky slips out, countering with an uppercut that clips Gatti's chin. Whap! And follows with hooks to the flanks, the blood from that left eye's smearing Gatti's shoulder now, but he's game, winging rights that whiff as Hatton dances. Oh, what a exchange! Gatti lunges with a straight right, crack, catching Hatton flush, but Ricky fires back instantly. Hook cross hook, the cross landing sweet on the jaw. They grapple in the clinch, Gatti shoving low, Gray warning again, and Hatton breaks with a knee lift, legal but spicy, then rips to the body. The spirit's electric, crowd roaring as Gatti presses, landing a hook to the head that stings, Hatton answering with a four-piece flurry that peppers the guard. Pop, pop, thud, crack! Gatti's tiring a touch, that cut sapping focus, but he digs deep, trading hooks in the pocket. Whap, whap. 7's underway. Hatton stalking with purpose, jabbing high to set up the body. Thud! Gatti blocking but feeling it. The Canadian circles left, firing a counter right that grazes, and Hatton presses, unleashing a combo. Jab hook right uppercut, the uppercut sneaking through to lift Gatti's head. Wembley thunders, sensing the tide. Gatti rallies, hooking to the body, thud, then high, but Ricky rolls under and counters low. Oof, a hook to the liver that has Gatti wincing. They're in the trenches again, short punches flying. Crack, crack, thud. Gatti's aggression met by Hatton's precision, a straight right from Ricky popping the bloody eye. Gatti clinches desperately, but Hatton shoves off and lands two more to the ribs. Whap, whap, before Gray intervenes. The final minute's a whirlwind. Gatti wings a desperate overhand. Miss! Hatton counters with three hooks, the last to the head ringing true. Bell, Ricky's owning this war. Round 8, and Gatti's a warrior. Blood streaming but eyes fierce, charging with a hook that clips Hatton's cheek. Whap! Drawing first blood, sort of. Ricky resets, feinting, then rips a cross that opens a minor cut above Gatti's right eye now. Slash! Blood from both sides, the doc checking between rounds later, no doubt. Gatti presses undeterred, trading in close, hook for hook, cross for cross, leather smacking like thunderclaps, the crowd on its feet. Hatton slips a big right, counters with an uppercut, crack, that stings, then body work, left-right to the flanks, thud, thud. Gatti's hooks are wilder, one low again, warning from Gray, but he lands a clean jab that snaps Hatton's head. Ricky laughs it off, circling and exploding. Four-punch burst, jab, jab, hook right, that backs Gatti to the ropes, the right thudding home. They clinch along the cables, Gatti's cuts worsening, Hatton's pressure relentless. Break, and Hatton lands a parting hook. Whap! As the bell goes. Bloody brilliant, Ricky turning the screw. 9's a grinder, Gatti forward, jabbing through the blood, landing a straight right. Round 10. Gatti's a mess visually, both eyes cut and swelling. but he's heart incarnate, firing hooks that buzz Hatton's ears. Close, close. Ricky ducks one and counters with a left hook. Whap! That swells Hatton's left eye majorly now, puffing like a balloon, the doc eyeing it post-round. But the hitman's unfazed, pressing with jabs, pop, pop, slipping Gatti's overhand and ripping to the body. Thud! 3 in a row that echo. Gatti trades desperately, a right cross landing flush on that swelling eye. Crack! Ricky winces but grins, answering with an uppercut. Whap! And hooks to the head. The pace is frenetic, no let-up, flurries exchanged along the ropes, Gatti's blood mixing with sweat on Hatton's trunks. Hatton pivots out, lands a straight right. Pop! And the crowd senses the endgame. Bell, spirited to the core, Ricky's resilience shining. 11 now, and Gatti's corner pleads for survival, but he's charging. A hook opening a cut in Hatton's mouth. Slash! Blood trickling from the hitman's lip, grimacing but game. Ricky touches it, spits red, and explodes. Jab to the face. Pop! Hook to the body. Thud! Cross that snaps Gatti's head despite the cuts. The Italian's hooks fly wild. Miss, miss, but one clips the jaw, staggering Hatton a hair. Wembley roars, but Ricky resets, feinting and ripping low. Oof, then high with a 4-piece that peppers Gatti's guard. Clinch along the ropes, blood everywhere. Gray separates, and Hatton unleashes. Uppercut hook right, the right thudding home on the bloody face. Gatti fires back, trading in the pocket. Whap, whap, crack. Mouth cuts slowing Hatton not a jot. The final seconds. Ricky's combination backs Gatti, a hook to the body folding him. Bell! What heart from both, but the hitman's carrying it. Final round 12. Championship rounds mentality. Gatti forward through hell, jabbing bloody, landing a cross, crack, that stings Hatton's swollen eye. Ricky circles, mouth cut but firing back, straight right, pop. Slipping the counter, hooks to the body, thud, thud, sapping the last of Gatti's gas. They're at its center ring, furious exchanges. Gatti's uppercut whiffs, Hatton's cross lands, whap, followed by bodywork that has the Italian gasping. The crowd's deafening. Hatton! Shaking the rafters as Ricky presses, feinting high, ripping low. Oof! Gatti clinches desperately, but breaks with a shove and a hook. Crack! Gatti rallies with hooks both ways. Whap! But Hatton's head movement saves him, countering with an uppercut. Thud that lifts the chin. The seconds dwindle. Toe-to-toe war. Leather flying. Blood spraying. Hatton lands a parting combo. Jab, cross, hook. As the bell clangs one last time. Wembley explodes. Won a 12-round epic. And now, the moment. Judges' cards. Eileen Kavanagh scores 117 to 111 for Hatton. Terry O'Connor has it 114 to 113 for Gatti. Victor Lachlan, 115 to 113 for the Hitman. By split decision, your winner and still the king, Ricky the Hitman Hatton. What a night, folks. God bless the lad. I will now return you to our Bangkok studios. This is Knockout Nigel. Cheers.
Man, I would have really liked to have seen those two get it on, and I think that would have happened. I think it would have been real close, and that Ricky would just took him apart, and he would have cut him up like happened in his fantasy fight. But I hope he enjoyed that fight. And by the way, see, Knockout has not been drinking any bubbly lately. He's been kind of banned from it. So as what he's doing to punish me, to get at me, he's doing his little comic book sound effects during the fight, like thud, thud, bang, bang, We maybe have to get him back on the bubbly again. I don't know, but, we're going to have to do something with Knockout. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed that fight. And we have right now, I just discovered this young woman who has this She has a song about Ricky called The Ballad of Ricky, and I'm going to play it right now. Her name is Dale Canova. Dale Canova. So let's hear that on the Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing Podcast.
From the streets that hide where the rain don't stop, born with a dream in a corner shop. Ricky Hatton rolled his fist clenched tight, the lad from Manchester ready to fight. Blue blood in his veins, St. George on his chest. He carried the North, gave his heart and his best. With a kind and a grin, he'd walk through the door. The hitman was coming. The crowd would roar. Oh, Ricky Hatton, the hitman's heart lit up the ring, tore the darkness apart. With a hook to the body and a will made of stone. You fought for the glory, you fought for your home. Through the cuts and the bruises, you never backed down. Ricky, our hero, forever the crown. In the men's war, he made legends fall. Kostya Tszyu heard the man's shooting call. World title shining, he held it up high. The pride of the terrorists with stars in the sky. Thickest slice blades, he stood toe to toe. Faced Floyd Pacquiao, gave all that he'd known. No matter the odds, no matter the pain, he'd rise from the canvas and fight once again. Oh, Ricky Hatton, the hitman's heart lit up the ring, tore the darkness apart. With a hook to the body and will make of stone. You fought for glory, you fought for your home. Through the cuts and the bruises, you never backed down. Ricky, our hero, forever crowned. The pubs still sing of the blue-eyed lad who gave all he had, the good and the bad. From the sweat-soaked droves to the Wembley cheers, he carried our hopes through the blood and the tear. His left hook sang like a Manchester hymn, the people's champ. It was all for them. No glove could hold down that fire in his soul. Ricky's the name that will never grow old. Oh, Ricky Hatton, the hitman's heart lit up the ring, tore the darkness apart. With a hook to the body and a will made of stone. You fought for the glory, you fought for your home. Through the cuts and the bruises, you never backed down. Ricky, our hero, forever the crown. Now the ring's gone quiet, but the story's alive. The hitman of Hattersley forever will thrive. In the pubs and the streets, they still chant your name. Ricky Hatton, eternal, the North's burning flame.
And I like that. We don't play country rock on here, but I kind of like that. And that's Dale Canova. I never heard of her, but that's a nice little song. I thought you might be interested in hearing that song on the Road Virtual Boxing Podcast, and hopefully we'll hear more from her. But Dale Canova, The Ballad of Ricky, her tribute to the late, great Ricky Hatton. And right now, Jessica, our martial arts champion, she has a story about, follow up on that, about Ricky Hatton, about what happens. I mean, she uses Hatton as an example, but it happens to a lot of fighters, and what, just the pain of just leaving the ring, the loneliness, and what boxing does to you mentally as far as, CTE and all. But let's have Jessica talk more about that on the Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing Podcast.
Ricky Hatton's death has reignited an all too familiar conversation about mental health in sport. Hatton had spoken openly about his long battle with depression, as well as the drug and alcohol addiction that began after his 2007 defeat to Floyd Mayweather. Research shows that how a boxer thinks, their beliefs about success, identity, and failure, can become harmful in the high-stakes context of the sport. The perfectionism and must-win mindset mean even a single loss can feel catastrophic. The constant pressure of winning at all costs has negative consequences. For some, losing a fight is not just a professional setback, but an identity crisis, laced with shame, guilt, and a sense of personal failure. This danger is especially acute for fighters who rise from humble beginnings to fame and glory. For a boxer, the fear of irrelevance or of being forgotten can trigger depression, anxiety, and despair. When vulnerability is seen as weakness, many simply bottle up their emotions, compounding their internal struggle. Hatton himself acknowledged in 2020 that mental health problems are widespread in boxing. The sport is brutal by design, subjecting fighters to repeated blunt force trauma to the head and body. Traumatic brain injury, TBI, is an accepted risk. This trauma has been linked to a wide range of acute, subacute, and chronic neurological and psychological complications, such as concussion, post-concussion syndrome, when the symptoms of a concussion don't fade after the usual recovery period but linger for months or even longer, depression, anxiety, cognitive decline, and movement disorders, and in some tragic cases, even death in the ring. Repetitive TBI is associated with chronic traumatic encephalopathy, CTE, a progressive disease once colloquially known as being punch drunk. CTE affects memory, mood, and behavior, and is among boxing's most severe long-term health risks. While head trauma is a physical injury, its impact on mental health is profound. Damage to the brain can impair emotional regulation, increase impulsivity, and heighten vulnerability to depression and suicidal thoughts. Yet for all this risk, boxing offers very few long-term support systems, something Hatton himself criticized. Outside the ring, boxers face other pressures that rarely make headlines. The extreme weight cuts required for competition can alter brain chemistry and destabilize mood. The punishing...
Thank you so much for that, Jessica. And sorry to cut you off there. Sorry to do that. But it's I keep arguing about it. They got to have a union in boxing. People have talked about this since the early 20th century. In fact, I would say from my readings in the 19th century, they were talking about this. We're in the 21st century now, and there are people who are getting promoters who are getting tons of money off these fighters and just throw them away like they're nothing. And, now you have these Saudis in here. They have money coming out of everywhere. They're yin-yangs. They could do something. They could really do something. If they want to help these fighters, they're getting money off these guys and women, and they can do something. Create a union, create some system where these fighters in retirement, because it's not, fighting is not despite what you may see with some fighters who keep on and on, that's a big issue. It's not a game that you play a long time. By your late 20s, early 30s, you're out of there. You got to help these folks. We really got to do that. I've been thinking about, in my own little way, starting sort of drive or something so we can get that out here. The fans, the supporters like you listening in and myself, we got to help these folks. They give us entertainment, but at a terrible price. It's like, they're gladiators. In ancient Rome, they're gladiators, and it's fun for some of us, but in actuality, it's terrible. So hopefully the Saudis or someone will step up, create some sort of boxing commission that's unionized and take care of these women and these men. It's really needed. So thank you again, Jessica, for that report. That report came originally from Boxing Scene magazine. And check that out when you get a chance to. But right now, Jessica's going to give us another report here. This is her weekly update her update on this week and boxing history, and we're talking about September 21st through September the 27th. So take it away, Jessica, giving us the latest boxing history.
This is Jessica, your martial arts champion, with your boxing history for the week of September 21st through September 27th. September 21st, 1985. Michael Spinks made history by becoming the first boxer to go from world light heavyweight champion to world heavyweight champion, defeating IBF champion Larry Holmes. September 22nd, 1927. Gene Tunney defeated contender Jack Dempsey again. September 23rd, 1952. Rocky Marciano defeated Jersey Joe Walcott to become the heavyweight champion of the world. September 24th, 1922. Battling Siki became Senegal's first world boxing champion. September 25th, 1962. Sonny Liston became world heavyweight champion by knocking out Floyd Patterson in the first round. September 26th, 1945. Jake LaMotta fought Sugar Ray Robinson for the 5th time. Robinson won the 12-round fight by split decision. September 27th, 1980. Marvin Hagler became world middleweight champion, scoring a technical knockout over Alan Minter on cuts in 3 rounds.
Thank you so much for that, Jessica. And that, yeah, I saw that fight live. Minter versus Hagler, and Hagler, I mean, he was overdue. They finally gave him a chance at the title again, and he did it on Minter's home ground in England, and that fight was something because Minter was not a bum. I mean, he was a champion. He was a great fighter, but Hagler showed that he was a legendary fighter. Just something, as Terrence Bud Crawford is showing. He's a legendary fighter. But, my two folks here, Malcolm and Ella, they're kind of young. And they got into this debate about who's the greatest of all time. Is it now Terrence Crawford or Floyd Mayweather Jr.? I mean, they never saw Ali fight. They never seen, they never looked at films as they should of Sugar Ray Robinson or Marciano or Joe Louis or, people like that. Roberto Duran. They never saw Duran at his peak. So they're going to talk about now Crawford and Mayweather Jr. Which one is the greatest of all time? And it's an interesting discussion, but I got to educate them again on some things. But anyway, let's hear Malcolm and Ella on the Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing Podcast.
Okay, let's pivot. We need to unpack probably the biggest question in boxing right now.
Yeah.
Terrence Crawford's win over Canelo Alvarez. It wasn't just another fight, another belt. It, threw gasoline all over the G8 debate.
No, absolutely.
Pitting him straight up against, the ghost of boxing perfection, Floyd Mayweather Jr.
It really has become the central comparison, hasn't it? And it's more than just arguing now. It's almost a necessary look at 2 totally different kinds of greatness.
Right. So our mission here for you listening is to really dig into the stats, the technique, the why behind Crawford's rise.
And specifically how his big weapon, that switch hitting ability, how that changes the whole game against a defense like Mayweather's.
And the thing that really blew this up wasn't some talking head on TV. It was Canelo.
Exactly.
Crawford gets the unanimous decision, clear win. And Canelo, who's been in there with both of them, he doesn't even hesitate, just says it.
Quote, I think Crawford is way better than Floyd Mayweather. I mean,
when a guy like Canelo gives that kind of cosign, you got to stop and really look at the foundation there.
That peer review is massive, absolutely. But let's anchor this in something a bit more solid than just opinion for a sec.
Okay.
We need to frame his achievements in modern boxing terms. So the 4-belt era, which basically started around 1988.
And here's the crazy part, the thing that sets him apart historically. Mm-hmm. Crawford is the first male boxer ever to be undisputed champ in 3 different weight classes.
Yeah, 140, 147, and now 168 pounds.
And for you listening, that's not just about collecting belts. It's navigating this super political landscape of boxing today, 3 separate times, and getting 4 different organizations to agree. all at once.
Well, it's insane leverage, like you said. It's the benchmark for dominance now.
Yeah.
And, okay, his record, 42 Lear, 31 KOs, that's obviously top tier. But there's this other stat kind of flies under the radar.
Which is?
Apparently, Crawford has never officially lost a single round on any judge's scorecard in his entire 17-year pro career.
Whoa, hang on. Never lost a round. That sounds almost impossible. Is that legit? Or is it maybe skewed by, earlier fights against lesser guys?
That's a fair question, definitely. Look, judging in boxing is notoriously messy, right? So a perfect round record is statistically weird no matter who you fight.
Mm.
Even Floyd lost rounds all the time in his big fights. Maidana, Castillo, even Pacquiao. So Crawford's 0. It suggests something more than just winning.
Well, like what?
Like, he's not just winning, he's dominating rounds. He's rarely even letting them get close. Even against the top guys he's fought more recently, he seems to always be dictating the terms.
Okay, dictating terms, that feels key. And part of that has to be the weight climbing, right? Lightweight all the way up to super middleweight.
Yeah.
That's a 33-pound jump. For anyone who doesn't box, imagine going from fighting guys your size to fighting guys significantly bigger who hit way harder. Is that the real measure of his toughness?
Oh, absolutely. That jump is brutal. Only Manny Pacquiao really has spanned more weight, like 42 pounds.
Wow.
But Crawford, he jumped 2 classes to fight Canelo. And crucially, no catch weight, no rehydration clause demanding Canelo drain himself.
Right. He fought Canelo at Canelo's best weight.
Exactly. Fought the king of 168 pounds at his strongest. That fight kind of silenced a lot of the criticism about his resume lacking that one huge name at the top.
Okay, so we've got the stats, the historical markers. Let's drill down on the engine behind it all. The thing Floyd never really used, the switch stance.
Yeah, this is where it gets really fascinating.
Because Crawford's ambidexterity, it's not just flashy, it's fundamental to everything he does.
And when you watch him, technically, he's almost perfect from both orthodox and southpaw. It's not a trick, it's a tactical weapon.
How so?
He switches to solve problems. It's like, Imagine trying to defend a goal and the attacker can suddenly shoot just as well with their left foot as their right. Instantly, it changes the whole defensive angle.
And he stays balanced, stays defensively sound while doing it. He doesn't leave himself open during the switch.
Exactly. That's why it breaks systems. His jab stings just as hard from left or right. His power is there from both sides.
You see it in his finishes, right?
Totally. Orthodox. He stops guys with a left hook, maybe an overhand right like against Lundy. Flip him southpaw. He gets knockouts with a check right hook like Brook or a straight left like Porter.
So opponents basically have to prep for 2 different elite fighters in one.
Pretty much, both with perfect timing.
Now, how does this stack up against other famous switch hitters? Like Nassim Hamed.
Nas. He was kind of the opposite, wasn't he? All flash, incredible power, amazing reflexes, read opponents brilliantly.
But technically, a mess.
Yeah, hands low, chin up, leaping in. He won despite the flaws, mostly because of that freakish power and speed. Not really a sustainable model.
Okay, what about Roy Jones Jr.? He switched sometimes.
Roy was all about speed. Probably the fastest hands ever in his prime. That speed let him get away with murder, fundamentally speaking.
Like punching with his hands down.
Or behind his back. He could land power shots from weird angles because he was just so much faster. The speed covered the mistakes. Crawford doesn't rely on speed like that.
And Marvin Hagler. He was a natural righty who fought southpaw, mostly.
Right. Hagler was great, a true warrior. That right hook from the southpaw stance was lethal. But, ironically, switching back to orthodox and maybe staying there too long against Sugar Ray Leonard
Cost him the fight.
Arguably, yeah. It played a part in that controversial loss.
Yeah.
So, with Hagler, Jones, Hamed, their switch hitting often relied on one huge physical gift or had potential downsides.
But Crawford
seems different. It feels like he's achieved, flawless execution in both stances. Just textbook fundamentals. Doesn't matter which foot's forward.
Even Tyson, who could switch mid-combo.
Yeah, Tyson had incredible balance. He could punch hard from anywhere orthodox, southpaw, squared up. Remember the Larry Holmes knockout?
Vaguely.
Started orthodox. Finished him with a right uppercut fired from a southpaw stance after shifting his feet. But that was more fluidity, less strategic switching like Crawford.
So Crawford's using it tactically, constantly creating new problems. It's like a whole library of styles compared to Mayweather's single, brilliant defensive book.
Well put.
Which brings us to the main event. Crawford versus Mayweather. It's not just who wins a fantasy fight. It's like, how do you weigh these 2 types of perfection? The defense versus the adaptability.
Right.
Let's start with the case for Floyd. What are the core arguments?
Okay, for Mayweather, it's got to start with the resume depth. It's just deeper. Way more Hall of Fame names. Pacquiao, Cotto, Mosley, De La Hoya, the list goes on. Champions of their eras.
Can't argue with the names.
And then the skills. Defensively, arguably the best ever. That shoulder roll, the anticipation, the ring IQ, just phenomenal. And his hand speed, especially earlier on, was elite.
We gotta remember, Pretty Boy Floyd, right?
Yeah.
At 130, 140.
Exactly. Before the hand injuries really piled up, back then he had serious pop, blistering speed, and the defense. He evolved into the pure defensive master later, out of necessity almost. More risk management.
Okay, good context. So the case for Crawford then, especially head-to-head at, say, welterweight, 147 pounds.
Well, the first thing is physicality at 147. Crawford is naturally bigger, stronger there. He's got a couple of inches in reach, too, 74 to Floyd's 72.
And he puts on more weight after the weigh-in, right? Walks into the ring heavier.
Significantly more, yeah. That translates to more power, more durability at welterweight. That size difference isn't trivial against Floyd at 147.
And what about the quality of the big wins? You mentioned Floyd's names, but Crawford's wins over Spence and Canelo.
That's the counter-argument. Crawford beat, arguably, the fully formed apex versions of Spence and Canelo. He didn't fight a young, still developing Canelo like Floyd did.
Not quite.
And the Spence win wasn't just a win, it was a beatdown, a stoppage, 3 knockdowns. That's a different level of dominance than, say, Floyd's decision wins in his later big fight.
More emphatic. And style-wise.
Crawford just has more tools in the toolbox, right? He can fight at distance, he can counterpunch, he can pressure you, and he does it all seamlessly from both stances. It's a wider range than Floyd's primarily defensive framework.
Plus, the whole undisputed thing. Crawford hit that modern benchmark 3 times. Floyd never did it once. Does that matter in the judo talk?
I think it has to in the context of their era. It's the defined pinnacle of achievement now, and Crawford reached it repeatedly.
So when analysts line them up, where does the consensus kind of fall? Is there one?
It's definitely split, and it often comes down to weight class. A lot of people lean Mayweather by decision, especially if you imagine them fighting at like 135 or 140.
Because of Floyd's speed and defense back then?
Exactly. His ring control at those lower weights, many think that would be enough to outpoint Crawford in a competitive, maybe not thrilling, fight.
But at 147, welterweight.
That's where the tide turns in the discussion. More people favor Crawford there. The size, the power, the reach, the 2 stances. It's just a massive puzzle for Floyd to solve against an opponent who's arguably his physical equal or superior at that weight.
And then there were the intangibles.
Right. Crawford just seems to adjust incredibly quickly in fights. He stays calm under pressure. And maybe most importantly, he has a real killer instinct.
He looks for the finish.
He absolutely does. He creates separation and then he closes the show. That often leads to wider margins of victory in his biggest fights compared to Floyd, who was often content to control and cruise to a decision, secure the 0. Crawford wants the KO.
So wrapping this up, what's the big takeaway for you, the listener? Crawford's Joe-out case, it's built on hitting that toughest modern mark, the triple undisputed crown, and using that ambidextrous brilliance to beat guys across different sizes.
While Mayweather's legacy is built on that perfect record, the unmatched defense, the business acumen, that consistent managed brilliance, it's risk management versus like system-breaking adaptability.
2 different philosophies of greatness.
Exactly. And the debate really asks us, what defines greatness today? Is it the flawless record built on careful management? Or is it smashing through barriers, dominating across weights, and achieving undisputed status again and again in an era that actively tries to stop that from happening?
Crawford definitely set a new bar for that kind of modern dominance.
He really did.
Okay, so we know Crawford solved the undisputed puzzle 3 times, but boxing keeps evolving. Here's something to think about. What's the next impossible challenge? What era-defining feat does a fighter need to pull off to become the undisputed GOT down the line? And what kind of crazy skill set would they even need to achieve it?
Well, thank you, Malcolm and Ella, but I've got to say this. If y'all want to be the greatest of all time, you got to do some research as far as Muhammad Ali and other fighters from the past. I mean, come on, but I'm glad they did this, so they can learn. And, oh, God, Ella's near tears. In fact, Malcolm's over there. He's about to cry. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to insult you, too. You did a great job. You do a great job on here. People like you. But anyway, we're going to get to, since this is a boxing variety show, going to do a little music here. This is from the Visions Jazz Ensemble. They did this whole CD on college fight songs, and this is their jazzed up version of The Victor. So let's hear that on the Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing Podcast. That was nice. That was the Victors by the Visions Jazz Ensemble. I hope you enjoyed that on the Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing Podcast. But we got to get ready to get out of here now. Thank you for tuning in. So many folks, I'm getting folks and new folks now on the continent of Africa. I'm so happy about that. Actually in Kenya, got folks a little bit of everywhere listening in. And obviously the folks that listen in on KUHS in Colorado, but also the folks that listen. And we have a lot of people listening in Britain. I hope you like the tribute to Ricky Hatton. Hope you like that song by Del Canova, The Ballad of Ricky. But let me know. So many people have. But send me an email Facebook. You can find me on Facebook, YouTube. Just look for Ringside Fantasy Fights and News. Again, Ringside Fantasy Fights and News. But this is Greg Rashid, your presenter. As I always say, go in love and go in peace. And yeah, we got a lot of problems out here. It's my week away. A lot has gone on in the world. You know, wars, killings, just, oh, goodness, there's so much. But you got to be strong. You got to be strong and do what you can in your community to make it better. Those around you, make it better. You know, help someone in need, help a young person, a senior, an animal in distress, or anyone in your community that you think is out there that may be lonely, just looking for someone to talk to. You never know. And if you see signs of something that are a little suspicious, let others know about it. And if you're going through things like someone like a Ricky Hatton was, and you don't reach out, you got to reach out. So reach out, because there's always someone there to help, no matter what. You may not think that, but there's always someone waiting to hear you say something and give you a shoulder, give you a hug, shake your hand, and just have an ear to listen to you. So just remember that. But again, this is Greg Rashid. Go in love and go in peace. We'll see you next time on the Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing Podcast.
Thanks for tuning in. Please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this podcast. Please become a member at patreon.com under the title Ringside Fantasy Fights and News. See you next time.